Show me.
Chef.
Show me, chef.
Show me.
Show me, show me.
Chef.
Show me.
Chef.
Show me. The chef. Show me.
Chef.
So today we're making mayonnaise manually. Other way you can do it is with a robo-coop. So what you need is a nice balloon whisk. You need a stainless steel bowl, nice in volume so that you get a nice aeration and a little action there so it stimulates the sabayon. And you need a clean tea towel. So those three things you need: a whisk, large bowl and a tea towel. Along with the equipment you're going to need a few ingredients. So typically you'll need an egg yolk. For this recipe I'm going to use one egg yolk. I'm going to be using Dijon mayonnaise, Dijon mustard, sea salt, a nice neutral-based oil. I like to use a veggie oil. Now, olive oils are typically used also, but they can be a lot richer in flavour, and sometimes you really can't, change it to what you like. So if you're going to change that mayonnaise to an aioli, seafood sauce, tartare, etc. And finally, a white wine vinegar, nice and sweet. So they're the ingredients: yolk, mustard, oil, vinegar and salt. Create a sabayon. So the sabayon involves the egg yolk, white wine vinegar and Dijon, okay? So those three ingredients. Now to spread the sabayon, you just really need to whisk vigorously and create it nice and thick. So you can see at this stage, very light, almost like a watery texture. We need to create a nice thick ribbony consistency, almost like a cream. So that's going to enable us to bind that oil and give us a nice thick mayonnaise, which we ultimately want. So the idea of it is you want to make this nice and thick. So, I've got a small amount here, just one egg yolk, so I like to keep it on a tilt, so I'll keep that quantity quite deep so I can get it. Now I use the side of the whisk, which is the most effective. So at this stage I'm about 3/4 of the way through this sabayon. As you can see, it's getting very thick, almost as a mayonnaise consistency at this stage. So we're nearing the end of the sabayon. You can see it's very thick. And the ribbony, you can sort of see the pattern of a ribbon there when you draw with it. So that's up. Okay, now that the sabayon's ready, we need to combine the oil, and how we do that is we grab our fresh tea towel. We need to dampen that under the cold water tap nicely, wring it out, grab opposite corners like so, and just flick it around like so, and then wrap that around a stainless steel bowl so it secures it to the bench. If you're working with two people, someone can be whisking and the other can be pouring, but if I'm working individually, this is going to secure it to the bench. To our sabayon goes our slow treacle of oil. If I add that too fast, it may split. So at the start, always slow. So a constant slow stream. I like to call it treacle. Yeah, coming close to that treacle, like it's supposed to be. I'm getting through a fair bit of that oil, and you'll see that at some point it will get really thick, and that can be a bit of a danger before you've added all your oil. It can also split if you add too much oil to that quantity. You might need to stabilise that with some warm water. Very important that you stabilise it so it doesn't split. So into that I'm going to add, say, a tablespoon of warm water. It will enable me to add the remainder of this oil and have a nice, thick, beautiful, creamy mayonnaise. Okay, as I said, this is quite thick. I'm going to add my warm water, make sure it's tepid. So tepid just means warm or body temperature, room temperature. Into that, as I said, about a teaspoon or a tablespoon, not too much, might thin out too much. So into there. We'll also make it go lighter in colour, which is good. And then back to my treacle of oil. That's all the oil, we're left with a beautiful consistency. Okay, now that all the oil's combined, I'm going to taste it. Always taste. Now, does it need salt? Does it need a little bit more acid? Nicely acidic, just a little bit of salt. I'm going to stir that in, and I'll be using that later. Now, mayonnaise can be turned into a number of other sauces. There is a plethora, a whole range. A few are like tartare, seafood sauce, aioli, etc. So the list goes on. Mayonnaise, a beautiful base sauce. It is cold emulsion, permanent emulsion, and you know, everyone basically uses mayonnaise, so hunky-dory, there's mayonnaise. When you